Hi, welcome to another exciting volume from the official poker DVD series. I'm Rich Ferguson, your host for Card Stunts. In just minutes, you're going to learn some of the most visual and impressive secrets to handling cards at the table. From several flashy ways of displaying your cards and playing with your pocket to dealing tricks, you'll have plenty of skills at your fingertips to look like a professional card handler in no time at all. So open up a pack of quality playing cards and get ready to learn some of the best kept secrets of card handling and some of my most guarded techniques never taught until now. This is called a turnover. There's 4 types of turnovers. The first one I showed you is called a top turnover, and it's done like this. You simply slide the top card over to the left, flip it face up, slide it back to the right, slide it underneath the bottom card, tilting it up, letting it fall, and snapping the card down. Done a little quicker, it looks like this. A couple key points here. When sliding this top card over, you need to get used to sliding just the top card over lightly and not taking both cards as one. So get used to just practicing going across and taking one card. Once you can do this, it's very easy to turn it over, hook it underneath here, flip, and set it down. This next turnover is called the under turnover. It's called the under turnover because obviously you're using the card underneath to turn the top card over, and then this card that's left is just flipped. It's a little bit more of an elegant way of showing your card as opposed to, those are my cards. So the under turnover, once again, let the top card slide off as you pull back the bottom card. Use the bottom card to flip the top card. Slide back about half of the card's distance and pivot this card over. Here's a simple idea of presenting your cards and building a little suspense. This particular turnover is called barn doors. If you happen to be the dealer, here's an interesting turnover for you. This is called the deck turnover. When doing the deck turnover, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. One, push the card over far enough so that it wants to pivot itself over your fingertips to drop, because you don't want to help the card turning by turning your hand over because you'll expose this bottom card to other players. So practice pushing cards over about half the distance of the deck so they want to tilt over the tips of your fingers, and then just help it go over by pushing with the edge of these fingers. Once you have this pushover down, you can actually go quite a bit quicker. This is called a Y flip. The Y flip is another interesting way of revealing your pocket. You're going to turn one card face up. You're going to use the corner of this card to hook under the edge of this bottom card, and you're going to flip this card up. What I want you to do is practice this. Turn the card over just a half of a turn into the other hand. Now the ultimate goal in the Y flip is to get this card to flip 1.5 somersaults so that it will end up face up, so you can lay it on the table with this card. So just like before, you're going to grab the corner, you're going to flick it, but you want to try to get 1.5 flips. And you lay it on the table. This is going to take a little bit of practice, but you'll find that if you start off slow, you just do a half of a flick, and then a full flick. From here you can get 1.5 flicks, and you lay them on the table. This is called a snap change. The snap change is one of my all-time favorite moves. This is how you do it. You're going to take the top card and flip it face up to reveal to your opponents one of your cards. Essentially what you're going to do is actually just rotate this around in your other hand to show the other card. But you're going to do this in a very interesting way. This is what I want you to practice. Take one card, flip it face up, so you have cards back to back. I want you to take your right hand, your middle finger and thumb, across the corners, like so. Practice rotating these cards around in this position to get used to holding them by the corners. Once you've done that, you're going to introduce your ring finger. The ring finger is key in this move. It's going to act as a brake. You're going to curl your ring finger into your palm so it covers this corner of the face-up card. Your thumb is going to apply pressure on this opposite corner. So all four corners are being restricted at this point. As you push down with your left thumb, because of the pivot here, this corner is going to push up against your ring finger. So you've caused like a trap right here. You're eventually going to pull down fairly stiffly with your thumb and let go. And the card's going to want to shoot around, just like you practiced before. The difference being, when you let go and it snaps, the card's going to spin and actually stop on your ring finger. The ring finger is very much a key in this effect. One last thing to consider is when you put your ring finger here and your thumb here, these cards are bowed slightly like this, not downwards. If there's any bend at all, it's going to be an upward arch. So that'll help when you trap this bottom corner with your ring finger, the top corner with your thumb, and when you flick, it'll turn around rapidly. So in fast motion, it would look something like this. This is called a pocket turn. The pocket turn is a cool way of turning one of your cards face up without your opponents knowing it. This trick is actually going to be useful in several other effects later in this DVD. To execute the pocket turn, you're going to slide your cards up together so they're squared up. You're going to tilt up one card. To everyone else at the table, it's going to look as if you've tilted up both cards. Tilt up one card as if you've tilted up two. Your thumb is going to push down on the back edge of this face-down card, which will tilt it up. When it's tilted up, push your thumb toward the face-down card, and they will become face-to-face. For a moment, stare at this spot as if you're looking at two faces of cards. Put them back down as if they were in the irregular position. And now you've made one card turn face up. So at this point, you can just turn the top card over, and to their surprise, you have two cards that are face up. One thing to note with the pocket turn is if you don't have a felt table that's very soft, you're not going to get the aid of the card shooting up like this, which helps turn the card over very easily. If you're on a hard surface, if you push down very, very hard, you're still going to get this front edge to tilt up a little bit. All you have to do is push more forcefully against this top card, and you'll still achieve this flip. I could do this on a glass table with no problem. I just kind of tilt this front card outwards a bit as a slight scoop, and this card will ride up against it and turn face up. This is called explosion. To execute the explosion, there's two setups you need to do. One, when you look at your cards, you're going to actually put a slight bend into both of the cards. This, of course, is done at the table. Look at your cards, put a small bend into them, put them back on the table. The other thing you're going to do is the pocket turn that you learned earlier in the DVD. So you've achieved two cards bent face to face. This is the key spot to get in for doing the explosion. To get maximum explosion, you're going to hold the cards between the middle finger and thumb of your right hand. If you squeeze, you'll notice there's a little bit of an arch that appears between the cards. Your first finger is going to grab the base of these two cards at the thumb. The middle finger is going to continually squeeze until both cards pop open, giving you the explosion. This is what it looks like at full speed. Explosion. Here's an interesting 4-card version of Explosion that you may have seen in the movie Shade. Here we go. That's called the whirl. The whirl's not as easy as it looks. Essentially, all you're going to do is pinch between the middle finger and thumb in the center of a card, and with your first finger, you're going to pull back and stroke the bottom side of the card to get the card to turn. This is essentially all you're going to do in the effect, but it's going to take a lot of practice to get the balance down right. Here are the fine points on how to do this effect. The thumb is going to go over the middle finger, exactly over the pivot point. The first finger is going to pull back. But when the first finger pulls back, the thumb is going to release. Just momentarily. It's going to go up in the air, so this card is free spinning on its own on top of the middle finger. And at the last minute, the thumb comes back down and catches it to give it kind of a stop, if you will. So practice just pulling the card partway around on top of your middle finger. Don't actually try to get it to spin. Just get it to pivot about 1/8 of a turn. That's all amount of pulling you're going to do at all. But when you do the same amount of pulling like this and you release the thumb, the card will continue. One tip when doing the whirl is you want to keep your hand low and flat to the table so your opponents don't see the bottom of your card. A couple of variations on this effect, of course, is doing it with the 2 fingers like you saw in the opening, and this one. When I showed you before, your thumb comes back down as a break at the end. Don't do that. When you spin the card, release your thumb completely and throw the card up into the air, and you'll be able to catch the card. It would look like this. This is called a psych twirl. To do the psych twirl, you're going to start off by doing the pocket change, so you can get the cards face to face. From here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to pick up the cards from corner to corner between the middle finger and thumb as if you were going to do a snap change. But instead of doing a snap change, you're just going to rotate the cards freely in the air with your first finger. The idea being that they think you just pick up your cards and they expect to see one of your cards here. That's why it's called a psych twirl. This is called the Montecito. The Montecito is another clever way of revealing your cards. It's also extremely easy to do. You're going to hold the cards as one between the middle finger and the base of the thumb. You're going to squeeze the cards so the cards are bowed downwards, and the cards are going to release from the tissue of the middle finger. It's hard to do very slow, but you want the cards to release from here, not from here. If you release from here, the cards will shoot toward you. So concentrate on relieving the cards from this spot. What will happen in slow motion is it'll slide forward and flip like this. The next card will slide up, release, flip like that. And the reason it's flipping is because you've applied pressure on the cards so that when they slip out, they spring like that. So in full motion, it looks like this. That's the Montecito. There's 2 fun variations on the Montecito. One, instead of letting the cards shoot to the table, have them shoot to the other hand, like this. Very simple to do. It's the same move, except put your hand in front and kind of aim toward your hand instead of the table. It's very simple. Another variation is in the Montecito position like this. When you bring your hand forward, normally you bend the cards down. What I want you to do is bend the cards up, and the same thing's going to apply. You're going to release from the middle finger. What's going to happen is the cards are going to shoot forward, flip, and turn face up. It's just done quicker than the other move. In full motion, it looks like this. This is called a palm change. The palm change is another fun way to reveal your cards to the table. You start by turning over your two cards. They're both face down together. Turn them face up to show everyone at the table your one card. You gesture that, oh, I have the ace, and then you palm away one card into your hand and put it on top. I'll show you how to do that. In slow motion, you're going to show everyone your one card. You're going to gesture, kind of subtly show your hands empty. To take away the card that's in the back, you're going to push on the back card with your first finger of your left hand and basically slide it into place onto your right hand. Now this knack might take a minute, so this is how you do it once again. You're going to push forward on the back of the card as the front of the hand comes across. And you're going to push it into this hand. One more time, from the back. Just like that. Then you simply take this card that you have and you place it right on top of the other card, and it appears that the card has changed. And you've changed it via a palm. So you slide off the card and place it onto the other card. Once you have the palm down, I'll show you an interesting variation on the palm change. It goes like this. You're going to palm out the card from behind just like before. But this time you're going to bring the visible card up for everyone to see at your face level and take the card that's palmed and place it over this card at this position. One more time, the palm change. This is called spring set. Spring set is an idea by a magician named John Cornelius, and it's a fantastic way of revealing the next card. You're going to push over the top card as if you were going to deal it. When you push over the top card, leave it sitting here for a moment and take the thumb away and grab this next card. This is where it gets tricky. I'm going to remove the top card just for a moment so you can see what's going on underneath this top card. Your thumb's going to take this, what would be the second card, pull it back over the edge of this deck, which is going to cause it to flip up. What I'd like you to do is practice just doing that. Put your thumb here, pull toward you, and push down, causing this card to flick up. It does help if you have fingers along the edge of the deck here, trapping this card to give it a little bit of a springing action. It's not actually necessary, but it does help. I actually find it's helpful if it's just the pinky. So all in one motion, what's going to happen is you're going to push over the top card, your thumb's going to go to the second card, pull it back, push it down, and it's going to cause this card to shoot up in the air and flip. One thing you want to keep in mind when doing this, if you push on this bottom card too much, you'll reveal this to everyone at the table. So you want to keep the moves very small. Here's spring set from another angle. Once again, push the top card over on an angle like this. It's not actually completely straight across. It's like this. You do that with your thumb. Your thumb takes over the second card, pulls it back and down, causing this card to shoot up in the air and flip. Once again, when pulling on the second card, you don't want to expose this to everyone at the table. So make the flick very small and quick. You might want to turn the cards toward you so they can't see the card. And altogether, it would look like this. You might have noticed when I first presented spring set that I burned a card with one hand. I just figure if you're going to go through here and pop one card over with one hand, it's a cool thing to burn the card with one hand as well. This is called flippant. Flippant may seem similar to spring set, but the handling is entirely different. You're not using a second card to spring over the top card. This is what you do in flippant. You slide the first card over about 1/2 of an inch straight, not at an angle as if you were dealing it completely straight across the top of the fingertips. You're going to lift your hand up quickly and down quickly, and there's going to be air pressure that catches the edge of this card, which causes it to flip. This is how it looks. Push the top card over about 1/2 an inch, lift your hand up and down quickly to get the top card to flip. An advanced variation on flippant is flipping 3 cards at once. Say you wanted to flip all 3 cards for the flop. What you're going to do is push 1, 2, 3 cards over, re-square them so there's a break. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then you do the move with 3 cards. The way you get 3 cards to come across is like this. Push 1, 2, 3. You feel them across your fingertips underneath, right across the top of these as you push. 1, 2, 3. I can go further. 4, 5, 6. You can feel the cards go across the tips of these fingers, and you're just kind of counting. You can do it by feel very quickly. 1, 2, 3. And you put a break. You'll get accustomed to this as you do it. 1, 2, 3. You put those on top of the edge of those fingers, leaving a gap here. Push all 3 over as if it was, 1 card like before, and do the move. That's flippant. This is called the buckle. The buckle is a clever way of bringing out the next card. There's not a lot to it, but it takes a knack to get it down. What you're going to do is hold the cards between the middle finger and the thumb, like this, and you're going to work up the back side of the top card, about like that. It's easier if you just use the other hand at first and literally just pull up the back of the top card. The front of the deck is held very high along the top of the middle finger compared to the thumb. When you pull up the back side of that card on the top and you have this gap right here, this wedge, the distance between the top of this finger and the thumb is now actually pretty equal. And what you're going to do is squeeze the thumb over the top of the deck, causing this card to squeeze here and eventually buckling here. It's actually a very unorthodox move. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to get this down. But this is basically the secret. As soon as you get the card to make this buckle, just a little bit more pressure, and it's actually going to completely bow upwards, causing it to pop and fly out of the top of the deck. So once again, cause that buckle. I'm going to stop it from flying. It's going to pop forward, which causes it to pop out. In full motion, it'll look like this. Now, to get the card to land in front of you, basically, you're going to aim the card to here, and you're going to play with the height. Depending on the kind of pressure you apply, depending on the springiness of the surface here, the types of cards you're using, the height might vary. So just play with it a little bit. I'm about maybe 9 inches off the table. The card shoots out, flips backwards, and will land in front of you. That's called the buckle. Here's a couple variations on the buckle move. I showed you the buckle throw. Now I'm going to show you the buckle toss. For the buckle toss, the handling is the same as before, except instead of buckling the card face up, you're going to turn the cards toward the other hand. That's all there is to it. It's not really practical in poker. I just thought it'd be a fun variation for you to learn since you're already learning the buckle. Here's one other variation. This is called the anti-gravity buckle. Same handling as before, but this time you're going to shoot the card upwards at an angle into this hand. Like that. One more time. That's called the anti-gravity buckle. This is called hype. Here's a situation. You've won the hand because everyone's folded. You don't have to show your hand, but there are those situations where you want to tease them by showing them one of your cards. Here's a fun way of doing it. Put the card that you want them to see on the bottom. Let's say it's the ace of spades. You're going to show the bottom card, the ace of spades. You're going to apparently throw that card and then show them the second card. But the tease is you're actually not going to show them both your cards because you want them to always wonder. You're throwing back in the same card again. Here's how the move works. The card on the bottom is the card you're going to flash them. It's also the card you're going to keep. You're actually going to throw away the top card. And the way you do that is by gripping the cards with the thumb and the middle finger. When you turn your hand over, your middle finger comes backwards and pushes off the top card. And you're left with the same card that they saw. You pause for a moment as if you're going to show them a different card, and to their surprise, it's the same card. One more time. Here's the ace of spades. It looks like you throw away the card they just saw, and you get to show them the ace of spades again. That's called hype. This is called a slide turn. The slide turn is very easy. All you're going to do is execute a pocket turn, which causes one card to be face up while one is face down on top of it. And when it's your turn to reveal your cards, all you do is turn over the top card, and to their surprise, the bottom card's already face up. Very simple, but just a variation for you to try. This is called the slide change. The slide change is one of the most visual ways of showing your two cards. You're going to have to start off by learning this technique. Put both your cards together face up on the table and practice removing one of the cards by sliding your hand across quickly without taking both the cards. It's very easy to slide both cards. What I want you to try to do is go quickly and lightly take this top card like this. Leave that card exactly where it's at. So practice doing this a few times. Once you have that down, you're going to go into another technique. Remove the top card. You're going to go all the way around in a circle like this. And when you come back around, here's the technique. You're going to apply pressure on the top of this card. You're going to try to keep this third area on the left of this card exposed, not covered tight. Tilt your hand up a little bit so that the edge of this card can slide underneath this face-up card. So essentially what you're going to do is come across, slide underneath, put the card that was sliding in position where this card was, release the pressure from the left side of this hand onto this one, and continue. Done quickly, you'll get used to pivoting your weight from here to here, adjusting the card straight, and continuing. This definitely takes a knack, but once it's executed perfectly, it's quite beautiful. This card looks like it literally changes for this card. So once again, you're going to apply pressure on this side of the card as you shoot underneath. The card will meet about like this. Your pressure is going to shift to this side to retrieve this card, and at the same time adjusting the card straight. This is called the boomerang. The boomerang is likely my favorite trick. I've been doing this for years, and I can actually shoot several stories into the air. And when people see me on the streets and recognize me from doing magic, they always ask, can you shoot the card in the air? So boomerang is a fantastic trick. I'm going to show you how to do it now. The secret to the boomerang is the grip. You're going to grip the cards with the ring and first fingers in a pretty unorthodox position. This is what it looks like from the back. This is what it looks like from your direction. And that's it. What causes the card to shoot in the air is the way you slide your finger across the top card. Just along the very face of the finger here, the thumb, along the edge of the nail, just like this, is what you're going to do. So get used to holding the cards in this boomerang position and push the cards up like this. This bottom card is actually going to come across your finger, and you're going to feel it. You're not going to get a paper cut, but you're going to feel the card slicing across your finger. This is the action which causes the card to shoot into the air. What you're eventually going to do is push up pretty hard with your thumb upwards, and because of the pressure of the card being held back down here by your ring finger, when it pops loose, there, the card's going to shoot up into the air spinning. So this is what it would look like fairly softly. The same technique applies for shooting far. I can shoot many stories into the air by pushing really hard and shooting upwards, thrusting the card loose and shooting into the air very high. It's really not a lot to this trick. It just takes a knack of getting used to holding the cards in this position. One very important tip when learning the boomerang is actually keep the cards in the case and have one card separate. Put the card on top of the case as if you had a deck of cards, and then hold it in the boomerang position. From here, it's not going to be as difficult to keep this entire block of cards from falling because they're all together. Now give a shot, and you'll see how easy it is from the get-go. Then advance into holding all the cards out of the card case. Here's a cool variation on the boomerang. This is a 2-card boomerang. A lot of times you have the 2 cards in front of you in Texas Hold'em, and you can do the boomerang with just the 2 cards. It's just a cool way of displaying your cards. Same handling, same everything. It's just going to take a little bit more of a delicate touch on your part to not squeeze the cards to death like that. So just learn the boomerang, and then you can advance into this, but it takes a very, very light touch to get the cards to shoot out without crunching the cards. This is called the Osso's toss. The Osso's toss is a clever way of just being flashy with your cards, shooting them around in your hands. You can go left hand to right hand to left hand. What you're going to do is put the card in an interesting position like this. You barely hold on to the card. It's actually called a tenkai position. It's held between part of the thumb and the fleshy tissue of your palm. You don't hold hard to where the card is bent. You actually hold the card very soft at first. That's the position. To get the card to this position, you're going to just slide your finger down the side of your thumb, your middle finger, almost like you're snapping your finger, but very softly and along the edge. You're not actually going to snap, but it's a lot like this motion, but with the card in your fingers. Hold the card like this, with the first finger and thumb and middle finger underneath, and slide the card to the position. From this position, you're actually going to shoot the card to your other awaiting hand. This is how you do it. You push down in the middle with your middle finger to ensure that the card bends downwards. Sometimes the card naturally will just bend downwards, but if it wants to bend upwards, you're going to need to apply pressure downwards. You want it to blow like that. From that position, you squeeze with the thumb and then release, and this popping action will actually cause the card to shoot out, rotate around several times in the air until you catch it. So this is what it would look like in full speed. That's called the Osso's toss. This is called card throwing. We thought we'd include card throwing in this video just because of the popularity of it nowadays. I'm going to show you 2 types, the dealer type of card throwing, and then the type where you can throw cards very far and accurately, and maybe slice fruit or stick them into walls. To throw cards from a dealing position, you're going to slide off a card as if you were to deal it to somebody, but instead of actually taking it like this and putting it on the table, you're going to rotate your fingers around and grab the short end of the card. The first finger grabs around this corner. Your middle finger and thumb pinch the middle edge of the short end of the card. That's the position. And from here, you're going to throw it forwards with a little bit of a back spin to cause it to spin. Once you get good, you can accurately toss these cards anywhere you want. That's the position. Now I'm going to show you a technique for card throwing which is more geared for distance and accuracy. You're going to hold the card just like you did before, with the finger over the corner and your middle finger and thumb pinching the edge, but this time you're going to do that along the long edge. The other difference is you're going to move your middle finger and thumb pinching position in further toward the middle. That's the position. You want this parallel to the ground. This is not touching your palm. The back side of the card is free. You're going to turn your hand this way, and the back of the card nearly touches your hand at this point, this back corner. From here, you're going to bend your arm, and you're going to throw a lot like a frisbee. You're going to release this card at high velocity. It will kick off the tip of your finger, giving it the spin that it needs, but with the whole hand, arm, and wrist action forwards, it'll have a lot of forward momentum. Along with the spin, it'll maintain its flight pattern for quite a distance. People have been known to throw these football fields. You've seen people on TV cut fruit, and this is the basic technique. There's really not a lot to learn as far as technique. There's a lot to learn as far as mastering the subtlety of the throwing. It's a knack. It's going to take you some time to get it down well, but this is basically how it looks. This is called the pinch. The pinch can be done with two cards as a cool way of getting your cards into the middle of the table. For instructional purposes, I'm going to show you how to do the pinch with one card. This is a very easy move to do. You're going to pinch the card between the middle finger and thumb, and the position of this corner by your middle finger is as high as you can get on your middle finger. That's the secret. What you're going to do is pinch the card so that there's an arch here, and you're going to release from the middle finger, not the thumb. As soon as you release, it'll cause this card to kick outwards and spin this direction and land out in the middle of the table. It looks like this. Another variation on the card pinch is shooting the card into the air. It's a cool move. Instead of just doing it at the table, do it in the air. That's the diamond toss. The diamond toss is just another way of throwing your cards into the table. It's just a little bit more flashy than saying, there's my cards, or face down, there's my cards. This is how you do the diamond toss. Pick up your cards, take a look at what you have, square them back up. And if you're going to fold, you're already in the perfect position for the diamond toss. If you tilt your cards up on a corner from where the pips are, this corner down here and this corner up here, is what it looked like from my side. That's the perfect position for the diamond toss. You have the cards up, you take a peek, you don't like what you see. If you're going to fold, don't make it obvious, but at some point, if you want to do the diamond toss, push on the corner and simply apply pressure so the card arches this direction. The card will slip out from under itself down here, shoot forward, and slide across the table. This is what it looks like in full motion. That's the diamond toss. Some last-minute thoughts about the diamond toss. Surfaces will vary, and you're going to have to experiment on the amount of pressure to apply to get the cards to shoot forward. Be careful not to shoot too hard that the cards come up and get exposed to the other players. That's called the pivot. The pivot is a great idea by a magician named Jason England. You're going to pick up the cards a lot like the diamond toss, but you're going to flick this corner to have the cards turn around so they're facing the other people at the table, and then you'll proceed with the normal diamond toss. To do the flick, pick up the cards like the diamond toss. Do not apply a lot of pressure. Keep the cards sitting fairly straight. This corner that's exposed will be flicked by your middle finger, and then you will apply pressure for the diamond toss, just like before. This is called a two-card shuffle. To do the two-card shuffling, you're going to push off the top card with your fingers, and your thumb is going to strike the side of the bottom card, which actually causes it to rise up a little bit. So you can slide the other one back underneath as you squeeze this one on top. Basically, it's a coordination between your fingers and your thumb as far as switching on and off. So it goes like this. The top one goes over, clears the card completely. This next card is tilted up so that previous top card can go underneath. They're squeezed together, and then positions are switched. This card is going to slide underneath these fingers as you release some of the pressure. And for a moment, nothing happens except your entire hand moves that card forward, so your thumb can now retrieve this exposed piece of this bottom card. So it's just a coordination and timing. One way to make the shuffle look real good is don't move the thumb. The card that slides across the top is shoved underneath the card held by the thumb. They're squared up tight. The thumb releases a little bit of pressure, just a little bit, so that top card again can go away. And then the thumb traps that bottom card again, like that. If the thumb doesn't move, it gives an illusion that there's one card always staying in one position. That makes it look real good. Another variation on the two-card shuffle is just using two fingers. This is called the endless shuffle. The endless shuffle is another one of those cool things you could do with cards while you're waiting for gameplay. What it looks like you're doing is counting 1, 2 cards, but you continually count forever. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You count forever. I'll do it face up so you can see a little bit more what's going on. Obviously, you're just switching the 2 cards one after the other. The way you do that is done like this. You're going to grip the cards in this particular position. This hides the cards from other people when they're face down, so you don't expose anything. I'm doing it face up so you can see a little bit more of the change. So they're pinched in this gap between the first and middle fingers of one hand, and your hand's kind of curled like this. So this card is just kind of locked into your grip like this. This card is held by the thumb and these 2 fingers here along the edge. Put the cards together as a block into the left hand and pull away the bottom card as your thumb pushes in the top card to keep it in position into this hand. When you do that, it helps secure this card. Otherwise, it might come out as well. So push the top card into this hand as you pull it out. This left hand is going to come back and force itself completely underneath the top card. You're going to feel it slide against these 2 fingers. Just let it go in. Let it line back up. And then once again, push that top card back into position here. And the process repeats. Now you just take a little knack to get this down, but once you get it down, it's actually very easy. One other thing I'm going to add is this thumb. I had it off for demonstration purposes so you can see what was going on, but the thumb does come into play. It's pretty useful. The thumb is going to come down and put itself on top of this top card. It's going to help take that top card away. So together, this card is going to slide under the thumb. Meanwhile, the bottom card is going to slide under the card and on top of these 2 fingers. So there's a lot going on to get this motion to happen. Top card slides away by pushing with the right hand and from the friction of this left thumb, and it's pinched by these 2 fingers. When this card that's taken away gets slid back underneath, it will go right on top of those 2 fingers right here. You'll feel them slide in. Meanwhile, this card is going to slide under the thumb. So your fingers get used to opening and closing very rapidly. So it's just a bit of a transfer, a little coordination with your fingers. This is what it would look like, slow. And then, faster. and faster. If it's done face down, it actually looks pretty deceptive. It looks like you're just counting continuous cards. The following is bonus material to give you polish during gameplay when you're the dealer. The first effect is called the boomerang deal. I call it the boomerang deal because it's just like the boomerang toss you learned earlier, except this time you're not tossing the cards into the air, you're going to deal them across the table like this. The boomerang deal is just like the boomerang. You're going to hold it in this position, but in this case you're going to turn the hand face down so that no one can see the bottom card, and then you're going to deal accordingly. This is called the pinky deal. The pinky deal is quite easy. You're just going to push off the cards as if you were dealing. Notice when you push off a card that this bottom piece is exposed. What you're going to do is take your pinky and stick it on the edge here, let go with your thumb, and you're going to apply pressure on the card to buckle it right here. That's the secret to the pinky deal. I'm going to hold it with my thumb for just a moment so you can see what happens. If I pull with my pinky, this corner will snap. That's the secret to the pinky deal. This is what it would look like. Push over one card, take over this bottom corner with the pinky, pull until it buckles, and then pull until it releases. That's the pinky deal. This is called a pullover. The pullover is very easy to do. You're going to hold the deck just like in dealing position. If you notice, your first finger is along the short end of the deck. The secret is you're going to keep the deck very deep into your hand so this finger is more exposed than normal. It's going to be able to reach up onto the deck and pull a card forward. It's very simple to do. That's called the pullover. This is called a snap over. The snap over is really easy to do. It's another clever way of revealing a card. When you push a card over to deal, notice that this edge here is exposed. Your middle finger is able to reach up and connect there, causing this card to bow. Just push over, connect, and bow. And what you're going to do is get the card to release from here, just like some of the other snap moves in this video. When it does, it will pop over onto the table. This is called the slip. The slip is a more elegant way of burning a card. You simply hold the deck in the right hand between the middle finger and thumb and let the left hand slip off the top card. So you go from the dealing position, you let your right hand overtake the cards, and you slide out the entire deck except for the top card, which is staying because of the traction with your thumb. Let it drop, put the cards back on top. So in fast motion, it would look like this. I actually like to take the deck and toss it back onto that card. A little bit of a flare. Just an idea for you to burn a card. On behalf of myself and everyone at OPI, we wish you the best of luck at mastering these skills. We urge you to respect house and casino rules, become proficient at these skills before bringing them to any live game, and most importantly, never use these skills for cheating. To get more game, don't forget to look for our Chip Tricks DVD and learn all of today's hottest chip tricks. I'm Rich Ferguson, and I'll see you at the card table.